We've been receiving heaps of emails outraged over the actions of eco-mobs across London this week. For example, on Wednesday, protesters from Just Stop Oil glued themselves to the top of a fuel tanker lorry in London, had to be removed by a crane as they were blocking one of London's busiest roundabouts.
Well, meanwhile, Extinction Rebellion activists protested outside and glued themselves as well to a government building and Lloyds Bank. Well, with more protests expected today, we are asking who exactly are these disruptors and why does it seem like their actions only hurt everyday working people? Well, Todd Smith is an Extinction Rebellion protester, thank you very much, and he joins us now, live in the studio. So thank you very much for coming in. You're not going to glue yourself to something, are you?
No, good.
Oh, God, good. Right, I just thought, because we just have to leave you here now, do you know? Look, can you understand why people are a bit miffed, to say the least?
Yeah, of course, and, we don't want to be causing disruption, but what the UN General Secretary has said, that climate activists are not the dangerous radicals. In fact, governments who continue to produce fossil fuels are. And, when the latest UN report says we're looking at 700 million Africans could be displaced, which is half of the African continent by 2030.
Yeah.
This is just absolutely stark.
I read a Guardian article today that said a secret report suppressed by US defence chiefs and obtained by The Observer warns that major European cities will be sunk beneath rising seas as Britain is plunged into a Siberian climate by 2020. That was written in 2004. So that was 20 years ago. So what if that was wrong, if we were meant to be submerged into, rising sea levels in 2020, why should we take your predictions that we're going to have an apocalyptic future in another 20 years? Why were they wrong in 2020, but you're right now?
This isn't my message. This is just a message of the United Nations.
But this is what the report said in 2004, and that was catastrophically wrong.
The evidence is overwhelming because it's happening right now, OK?
So they were wrong then? So they were wrong? So you wouldn't take those predictions that were catastrophic and said that we were in the UK, we were going to be plunged into Siberia?
I'd rather not talk about past affairs. We're here right now.
No, this is all about the past. It's about whether our actions are going to lead to the kind of apocalyptic future that you're describing. I'm trying to is this based off of actually shoddy evidence, shoddy science, shoddy models that actually are predicting wild things that are not going to happen, and you are disrupting people's lives. You are, causing a lot of economic problems for something that may well not even happen.
Well, firstly, it's worth saying that the only reason...
How can we rely on the things that you're talking about when it's been wrong, catastrophically wrong 20 years ago?
The only reason we're causing this disruption is because unless we cause disruption, then we're completely ignored.
No, but you're not answering my question. Why should we trust what you're saying now when you are predicting an apocalyptic future, when The Guardian, a very trusted news source, in 2004 predicted, according to a secret report that they revealed, that we will be submerged in London, where we are today, in rising sea levels? That's not happened, has it?
In all due respect, it's 2022. The United Nations have just said we need rapid and immediate emissions reductions across all sectors to secure a livable future.
Okay.
I'm not saying...
Let's focus on the things that you said now. Isn't that exactly what the government are doing? So they've led the COP26, during the pandemic when we were all locked in our houses. They were quite happy to jet around doing whatever they wanted and having all of these predictions. Isn't the government doing exactly what you were calling for?
In fact, they're doing the exact opposite. The United Nations...
net zero by 2050, isn't that what the government's calling for? And are doing actions for? I mean, they just released an energy review in the last couple of weeks. Isn't that exactly what you've wanted?
I'm just here to repeat these stark scientific messages.
So you're not here to actually critically engage in conversation, you're just going to repeat statements?
I can... Yeah, of course, I'm here to talk to you, and we need, obviously, a healthy discussion around this. This is the biggest existential threat to humanity.
But isn't the government doing exactly what you've said? They are literally doing what you've said.
No, we never asked for 2050 at net zero at all.
So what do you want then?
Our three demands is that the government tell the truth and that we act now.
The government is saying, Boris Johnson said 5 minutes to midnight that there is going to be a climate catastrophe. So is that true or false in your view?
What the government is doing is continuing to draw for new oil licences, which is going in the opposite direction. They continue to expand airports.
So their plans for nuclear, their plans to expand wind, solar and tidal energy, their plans for nuclear, none of that is what you actually want.
Of course, we need an energy transition, which means
so how are what they are doing different to what you want to do? As far as I'm concerned, they are pushing forward with your plans to the detriment of the economic reality and energy needs of this country?
The Paris Climate Agreement is a 1.5 degree limit. We've got a less than 1% chance, according to Chatham
Why don't
House.
you answer my question? How is what the government is doing different to what you are saying? They are implementing exactly what you want.
Inaya, there's an asteroid coming to hit Earth, right? That's the analogy.
Why won't you answer any of my questions?
Because we're talking about a livable future, and you're just completely ignoring.
How am I ignoring? I'm saying that the government is doing exactly what you want. They're expanding tidal energy, they're expanding wind and solar to the detriment of our own energy needs, quite frankly. And they put a moratorium on fracking. They stopped nuclear up until very recently. In what way are they doing anything different to what you were calling for?
They're doing the exact opposite, because they're ignoring the International Energy Agency, which said a year ago they need to stop drilling for new fossil fuels and new licenses and subsidising the industry up to £10 billion.
Currently today, 65, I think it's something about 70% of global energy needs depend on fossil fuels. Now, I know that you want to transition away, so you want to stop it now, just stop oil. How on earth are you going to supply the 70% energy needs right now across the globe for people's energy needs that is 70% from fossil fuels? Where are you going to meet people's energy needs? Are you just going to completely cut off people's energy, leave them freezing and starving, and basically turn the entire lights off of the globe?
We're actually just demanding that the government stops all new fossil fuel investments. Is what the United Nations and the Independent Energy Agency have asked for.
Okay.
So we're not
You're
asking.
not going to answer any of my questions specifically.
We're not dangerous radicals, as the UN General Secretary
So you're not
says.
going to answer any
trying to
questions
secure
specifically.
a livable future
You just want to stop life for ordinary people. The government is implementing the policies you asked for. That's not good enough for you. It just seems like a fantasy land.
Okay, well, the cost of living scandal, which the ordinary people are subject to, the same companies making record-breaking profits right now are also the ones that are having their futures destroyed. So this is a political choice. The reason the energy prices are so high right now, ordinary people are the ones that are most affected by the government's actions. We don't want the government only supporting their rich mates anymore and continuing to drive us towards ultimately extinction because of their fossil fuel addiction. We want to put ordinary people for a citizens' assembly because we believe in ordinary people who can find the solutions.
What's wrong with democracy already? What's wrong with the May elections? What's wrong with the May elections, the general election? Why do we need a citizens' assembly? What's wrong with actually just creating a political party, getting voted in, winning the argument, and then getting elected on that way?
There's no democratic mandate right now for the government to be doubling down on their fossil fuel addiction during the Ukrainian crisis.
Quite frankly, that's not happening.
And we need a political system which is fit for purpose. We need to upgrade democracy and secure a livable future.
Okay.
A robust discussion, there we go. So Todd Smith is an Extinction Rebellion protester. Thank you for coming into the studio, I must say.
Thank you very much.
And look, keep these views coming in, gbviews at gbnews.uk. It's fair to say there's a range coming in about Extinction Rebellion and the kind of tactics that they're using. But no, really do appreciate you coming in. Thank you very, very much. And